It happened to me as a young man. What happened? I was at the end of my ropes and I was hurting very badly and I needed help and nobody was there to help me. Have you ever been there before where you felt like nobody could help you? That the emotional pain was unbearable and you felt like giving up? In my early 20s, I was there. And nothing special, just straight out human suffering, emotional pain, desperation. And I was hurting, yet I had surrendered my life to Christ. I was delivering pizzas that day, and I was in college. I was on the weekend break. And I went back to my house. I got off early, and nobody was home. And I was very depressed and down. When I walked into my room, I fell on my knees crying and looking to heaven, looking to God, and asking Jesus for forgiveness. I felt a supernatural presence come into the room behind me, so powerful, so undescribable, except to say that a door was open from another dimension behind me. Something wonderful and powerful and yet even scary was behind me. And I knew it was the Lord himself. He had opened the door and allowed me to sense his presence for the first time. I felt a cleansing and a healing, and I cried out to the Lord. I asked him to forgive me. I made a mess of my life up to that point, and I needed help. And he came to my rescue, and he saved me miraculously from my sin. He saved me from my pain. He saved me in the midst of my pain. See, after that experience, I cried, and yet I felt joy in my heart for the first time. I felt like all my life's burdens and problems had lifted off of my shoulder. And I knew something had happened to me. I didn't know exactly what, but I knew it had to do with God. And I had a Bible, and I had already begun to read it. And not having picked up a Bible my whole life. Having read some scriptures as a young boy, having gone through some religious experiences in church, but nothing that was like this. But I had a thirst for the Word of God, and I started to read my Bible, and read it, and read it, and read it, and soaked it in. And called upon the Lord day after day after that experience, and asked and spoke to him and talked to him like he was my friend, and prayed to him and asked for guidance, having not stepped any foot in any church. And that was the beginning of my life with the Lord in my early 20s. I was in college in my third year, and I was on campus, and a Korean missionary walked up to me and told me about the Lord. And this had happened months before. I kind of felt that God was trying to reach out to me and speak to me, but I kept putting him off. I thought I already knew about God. I already had a knowledge of religion, and I thought that was for other people. But having recalled that experience with that missionary and having visited with him in his apartment and meeting his family that could barely speak any English, I knew that there was a love that crossed over cultural bounds. And I knew something was different about these Christians. That winter, Christmas time. I was on Christmas break, and I received a letter in the mail from David Lee. David Lee was a Korean missionary who had come all the way from South Korea to reach the United States of America, to pray for America on the campus of Rutgers College in New Jersey. I was thankful for having known David Lee, and he prayed for me, and I never spoke to him after those few Bible studies, and I graduated college. I sought out what I should do with my life. Should I get a job as a counselor? And I started to apply, but nothing really felt like it was the direction that I would go. So I prayed about it, and I heard about an organization that can help Christians find jobs in ministry, and I applied to several different places all over the country. And I landed in Newport News, Virginia at Youth Challenge. It was a ministry to drug and alcohol dependent people. Those men that were incarcerated. It was a men's program, a 12-bed facility in an old merchant building that used to be a marketplace right next to the shipyards where they do shipbuilding even to this day in Newport News, Virginia. And that was where I started my discipleship with the Lord. And I spent 6 years there. And God did a wonderful work of healing in my life, because I had many scars, carrying much baggage in my life, and received that call to ministry. There would be many roadblocks. There would be many stops along the way until I came to the present day, but that's another story. I hope you enjoyed this segment. There'll be more to come from Marcus Moore. Thank you.